WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. I guess slightly overcast this morning, but hey, I think there's a 60% chance we'll see rain. But that thing they call Invest 99L looks like it's not going to affect us a whole lot. Half inch of rain, that's nothing. Jim George is in the studio. He's our Professor Gadget. Let me put the camera on because you're going to see that it's not just Jim today. Jim's here with Nancy Stacy. We're going to talk about, I think, probably more school board than technology today. But Jim, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
And Nancy, good morning to you too.
Good morning.
There was a story this morning, Jim, before we get into politics, which I have a feeling is where we're going, right?
Yep.
There was a story about a warning that artificial intelligence is something the Defense Department has to be aware of because this could be our new enemy.
Oh, yes.
Artificial intelligence, like robots, you know? We think we've got the robots. They've got robots, too. They meaning everybody, and the enemy we have that has money and technology.
Didn't you just disclose today that there was this unknown hacking group that got into cell phone? I mean, imagine them getting into our artificial intelligence and putting our own planes against us and so on and so forth.
Yes. Oh, wow, that's an interesting thought.
Yes.
You should write a novel. That sounds like a storyline.
Yeah, I'll let Michael Cooper do that.
So do you think if robots are better at things than humans, do you think they'll ever be better at governing? So you see how I'm trying to create a segue here?
Well, just because they may think faster or acknowledge information faster doesn't mean they can compute, the way it should turn out.
I wonder.
In other words.
I wonder. Interesting, yeah.
Yes.
Well, so you have invited Nancy Stacy. Good to see you again, Nancy.
Hello.
I think last time I saw you was at the boxing ring, didn't I?
Probably so.
Or did I see you somewhere since then?
Special Olympics, maybe?
I love your relationship with your husband, by the way. I just love love. I love love, and I love seeing it. It's such
45 years.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for you. Good for you. So you were in the news this week because you sent out an email campaign, right? Am I saying right?
No, we
News
released
release?
a press release, yes.
What's the difference if it's by email?
Well, it's a press release that went out. That's how you email now.
Okay.
I mean, that's how you send them now.
All right, I just didn't know if there was a
That's how
difference.
you
Okay.
communicate, yeah.
Okay, so you had a press release that you sent to us by email anyway, and in it you say that the school system did not do as well as we were led to believe it did.
Exactly.
So I don't want to say anymore. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell me what you mean. What happened?
Okay. What happened is that in January, I read in the newspaper that our graduation rate had now surpassed the state average graduation rate.
Okay.
And I was excited about that. I thought, well, that's great. But then my common sense told me, but yet we're lagging way behind the state average in every other area. How can our graduation rate all of a sudden be so high? So I celebrated the good news that we had until I received a letter from a whistleblower teacher. And she shared with me that the way basically things were, the rates were going up, she said that her nephew was a non-attending student, had quit school, and that our social workers in our district had gone out to visit her sister or sister-in-law. I say her, it could have been a he teacher, I don't know. I'm saying her because they're talking women stuff.
Okay.
And that the social worker, suggested that the mother homeschool her student because he was non-attending.
Okay.
And she said,
what grade was he in?
I don't know. It was a high school student.
High school. Okay. Upper grades. Okay.
And he was a high school student, most likely a junior or senior.
Okay.
And the mother said, no, I'm not going to homeschool him. This kid has dropped out of school. I'm not homeschooling him. And they said, well, what if he could keep his driver's license? If you would check this box that you're home editing him, he can keep his driver's license.
Ah.
Because that's a state law. If you're
I
in
didn't
school,
know that.
yes.
Okay.
And so the mother, because of that, signed it.
Okay.
But she never followed through with any commitment. As far as I can tell, she just checked a box.
Okay.
Wherever that meant.
Okay.
Well, since then, I've heard of other boxes being checked. So
Okay.
we have them in the district. There's a box.
Okay, who is
here.
the person that is asking the mothers and fathers to check the boxes?
Social workers that come out of our psychology department.
The psychology department of the school
Of the school system.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Of the school system. They send people out, and they do a good job trying to get people to, come to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that department takes their orders from somebody else. You know how it goes down. Just get them. And see, if you home educate your student, you come off of the graduation rate cohort, just as though you left and went to a private school.
Okay.
So now you are not counted in with our dropouts when our graduation rate is calculated by the Department of Education.
Okay. So in other words, that student doesn't exist anymore. Okay.
Doesn't exist.
Okay.
And
Didn't
so
drop out and didn't graduate. Neither.
he did drop out.
No, but I
But-
mean technically.
But right.
Okay,
In the
okay.
eyes of those who calculate graduation rate at the Department of Education, he unenrolled to go to home education.
Okay.
So as I began investigating that, I did an undercover investigation, which took a lot of time. It was a couple of months.
Right.
And I uncovered that we had unenrolled the year before 400% more students into home education as seniors only,
What does that 400% work out to in numbers? How many actual?
like 300.
300
versus
students.
like 60. Okay, in the district or what?
Okay, so in other words, the official report says 60 dropped out.
No, the official report basically says 360, but then 60 came back and re-enrolled after, so we had a wash of 300, like 290 students.
Okay, and are they considered dropouts or homeschooled?
No, those are considered homeschool students now.
Okay.
Because remember, we took our seniors, and all of a sudden on the radar, on the calculations that the Department of Education received, we are showing a 400% increase in 1 year in seniors only, not even looking at the other grade levels, seniors only. What was interesting to me and concerning was that this is in an election year, okay? Was this done to skew a graduation rate for political reasons?
And that's a question
It's a question.
that leads people to answer it themselves.
Themselves. They
Okay.
can decide.
Okay.
Because it had never increased by that rate ever before. I mean, the year before, that's how that was in 1 year. That was the percentage of increase in students that they had.
Okay, so
Suggested.
more students appear to have. So let me just review what we've said so far. So the graduation numbers you're saying are falsely higher than they actually are
Definitely.
because some social worker told parents plural.
Well, no, that's not the only way this happens. That's the whistleblower that gave me information to go in and look. No, the social workers are not responsible for all of these.
Okay,
That was
what
just-
else is?
No, that's just, okay, what I'm finding out is that if a student just isn't coming to school,
Right.
and they have students, they don't even have any documentation on who just quit coming to school, and all of a sudden, at the end of the year when he's reported to the DOE, he is reported as a home education student.
Who's he?
The student.
The student. Okay.
The student is reported as a home education student.
Okay.
But yet, the district cannot give me any information at all that this is what happened. Well, the superintendent at the school board meeting Tuesday night said that
George Thomas.
said that the reason he's all mixed up is because of Jim Yancey's previous superintendent's policies, because it was just all confusing, and that they were using a 2010 guidance paper instead of a 2011 guidance paper. But Mr. Tomlin didn't come into office till 2012, so I don't know why he was using the 2010 guidance paper, but whatever. It's just a convoluted story that, like Obama, will blame the previous George Bush for everything that's happened for 7 years. We
So-
cannot blame Jim Yancey for this. Jim Yancey did not come up with 400% more home ed students to dump into a system to skew a
right.
graduation rate.
So who do we blame for the actual dropouts, though?
The Marion County school system.
The school system.
Because
This is the interesting part of this. In other words, the school system, which you're a school board member,
And I'm
so
one vote.
you're at the top of the system.
exactly, and that's
So
that's why I'm here. I need help.
Has the Marion County School Board failed?
The Marion County School Board sets policy only. We do not hire the employees that fill our staffing plan. Only the superintendent hires employees. So we have no power over that.
So who are the employees that failed then, if not the school board? If we have students...
Here's what I believe the whole thing is.
If we have students dropping out, Nancy, is there something that policy could change that would prevent that?
First of all, our graduation rate was only like probably 59 or 60% years ago. That's probably still the true graduation rate today.
Okay.
All of this other fluff that's gotten us up to 80% is all
Are those numbers
manipulation.
equal to Lake County, Sumter County, Orange County? Are those numbers similar to the rest of the state?
We're actually higher than the average in the state now, thanks to this little. Had these students been properly recorded, now here's what the superintendent's the administration says. Well, we looked in the files and like all but 90 of them we found, like where the parent had said that they were going to home ed or this. But no, there is a state statute that requires the parent file a very specific intent to home educate my student form. So the parent knows they've committed to this. We did not have those forms.
Okay.
73% of those 400% increase in students, when I checked their attendance, were non-attending students. Okay? So
And there's paperwork that
I got all the paperwork.
the paperwork serves as an affidavit that says they are being homeschooled.
Yes, and that's the only way you can legally, and that statute's been in place
So
for
how do
many,
you
many
know?
years.
How do you know then that somebody's lying? If a parent says they're being homeschooled, how does the school
You
system?
cannot legally unenroll them, because we have compulsory education in Florida. You cannot legally unenroll a student just because the child walks out of the principal's office and says, I'm quitting here, and the principal says, are you going to home ed? He goes, yeah. No, you
Okay,
can't.
so there's
That's
paperwork.
a dropout. That's a kid who just dropped out of school.
There's a responsible adult saying, yes, that's exactly what's happening.
You have to have the proper
parent.
documentation, or
Okay.
it is then you're going against the compulsory attendance,
and is
that's
that-
up to us to
And
oversee.
are you saying that paperwork was not filed?
Was not filed.
Okay, and so therefore the numbers are skewed by somebody, and you're blaming Tommen?
No, I'm blaming a system of willful blindness.
By whom? Who's blind?
I don't know whether the principals did it. I don't know whether the head of the home education department did it. I believe
So we're focusing, Nancy, on the people who.
I'm not going to blame anyone.
We're focusing on the people who earn a living teaching our children.
It's not the teachers.
I
can tell you they didn't do it.
Well, it's all part of a team. And if you're saying it could be the principals, you're saying it could be the school board, you're saying it could
no,
be
the school board doesn't file any of these
superintendent?
codes.
Okay.
All right, let me share something. Okay, you hit something. Per state statute, this form is required to be filed within the superintendent's office within so many days of the student going into home ed.
And you're saying they weren't.
No, they were not.
Okay. So I'm just asking you to make sure that I understand you. Okay. So this is what I understand so far. You are saying, and I'm not saying you know it for a fact, because you already established that this is your opinion, correct? Okay. So you're saying.
No, I know for a fact.
Oh, okay.
That we
you do know for-
manipulated something to get 400%
okay.
increase in 1 year.
Okay,
It
so I
is
had that part
impossible.
wrong. So I had that part wrong.
That's wrong.
It's not
It
an
is
opinion,
a
that's a fact.
fact.
Okay. So you're saying it's a fact that the numbers that were filed
And seniors only.
in seniors were falsified.
And that 73% of them, when you look at when I went back and looked at the attendance rate,
right.
they're non-attending students.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying, is that those children, those students did not graduate, but instead dropped out.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a failure. If we have students dropping out, we need to stop that. I know you guys can argue all you want about who's doing what because it's political, but I want to ask about the students themselves. How are we failing the students?
Here's
And who do we blame for that failure?
You are asking the greatest questions in the world. I always love to talk to you. A year ago, I've been working my whole 25 years as an activist and then as a school board member for parental involvement. Angie Boynton assigned me as a school board member to put together a parent involvement advisory council to the school board to empower parents, to teach them how to navigate the system, because I believe a lot of our dropouts basically happen because parents don't really know how to navigate and get help, and they just
Okay.
give up.
Okay.
And so we worked for, I guess, 4 or 5 months, sometimes weekly, with a team that I appointed. I appointed a school guidance counselor up in North Marion. I had minorities. I had Indians. I had a wife of a Chinese. I had a
Indians.
broad-based, committee. And even asked the administration to sit in on it, which they did for a while. And we had it at night, so, we came up with a plan. We needed an employee. You read everywhere that parents are the problem. I was trying to help fix that problem.
Yeah, that's I like that.
And so but to do that, I only have so many hours in my day, and I'm already burning it at both ends.
Sure.
Because I'm the school board member out there chasing these rabbits down, okay?
Okay.
I could not run a parent empowerment program on my own in 50 schools. It's impossible.
Absolutely not. No, right.
I needed an employee.
Okay.
I requested an employee that was actually a retired administrator.
Okay.
Actually, my opponent in the last election.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
That's how unbiased.
Who's that?
Woody Clymer.
Okay.
That's how unbiased I am.
Okay.
I felt he would be good in that position.
And did he take the job?
No, well, let me finish. I suggested that we bring on a retired administrator who could help implement this parent empowerment program, who could speak to principals on a level of the same as the principal, so that, because if we sent like a teacher or a parent was in this position and they went to the school and start telling the principal why he needs to have a PTO, and the principal goes, but you don't understand, she can't combat that. But a retired principal can say, you know what, you can do it because I've been in your shoes before. You can do this. They wouldn't be likely to tell him, can't be done, okay? He was even willing to work part-time for a teacher's salary. We called it an administrative salary because that way we can kind of pick someone that we want. We don't have to just go through miles and miles of stuff. We can pick someone that would do a good job at this. And he was an administrator. We're going to make it an administrator. But he was only going to work for a teacher's pay because he's retired.
Okay.
The school board was thrilled. Every school board member. Boom, we love it. Brad Rogers wrote a fabulous editorial about it.
Okay.
All in the paper.
Makes sense to me so far. What's the ending
So when
of it?
we do our presentation and we ask for this employee, Mr. Tomlin said, there's already people doing this. Well, if they are, then why do we have all these kids in all this trouble and parents? And he goes, all the parents have to do is call this person and this person. I looked down at my fellow school board members and I said, I've been a school board member for 3 years. And I didn't know that's who they were supposed to call. We always call this man out here, Mr. Vianello. And the school board members were like just as confused as me. And I said, okay, this is a perfect example of why we need this parent involvement program to teach parents how to.
Was there a communications problem?
I said to Mr. Tomlin, obviously, if I didn't know, and none of these school board members knew, that parents were to go to these two people, we can't even navigate the district office.
There's a communication problem. There's two people, it sounds like there's two people that could have done the job.
No, those people are evaluating principal performance. They're doing other things.
So those people are not doing what you want your guy to do. All right.
No, they're not. It's just two names he threw out. And so, I mean, they don't have anything to do. Here's what they really do.
Nancy, the issue that we voters need to know
I need a parent empowerment program.
Is that our students are getting the best education possible. Otherwise, why would we vote for somebody who's not going to want that? It doesn't matter whether it's school board member or school superintendent. We want somebody who's going to make sure the students are getting the best education that they can get. And if the way we measure success is by graduation rates,
it's not.
And if those graduation rates are not what you say they are, then somebody failed. I'll let you guys try to figure out who did it. I want to know what we can do if the students are dropping out.
I explained to you exactly what I need.
You explained it. And it sounds like it would have made sense.
That would come in and...
I wish somebody had tried it. I wish they had said, yep, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's give it a try. Because then...
Okay, wait a minute.
How long ago was this?
Wait.
More than a year?
Last November. Last October.
Okay, so we would have had enough time to say if it worked or not.
There's more to this story. The school board wanted it. But see, the superintendent is in charge of hiring employees. He did not recommend a staffing position for that position. School board member... So we would have had to wait until the following budget to implement a staffing plan.
That, Nancy, is a more ironclad argument than the falsifying numbers because you don't
It's this.
you don't have any concrete evidence of the falsifying numbers.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I thought you weren't sure.
No, the numbers were falsified. The forms, the statute, it is state law that you have these intent to home educate forms filed before, and we didn't do it. We broke that law. That's a state statute.
Is the falsification that you're saying was confirmed the falsification by the parents or by
the district? The district can
the district.
The school, the
when you say the district,
the principal at a school, nor the home education director,
okay,
cannot, by state statute, it's easy read, it's a paragraph, unenroll a student into the home ed code without the parent agreeing to do this.
And you're saying,
and we do not have those forms.
Okay, all right. And
period.
So okay, the word district is confusing. Because when I say
administration,
okay, that's confusing too. Because who's the name?
I'm not real sure whether the principals unenrolled these students and gave them this fake code, or did the home education department do it. That I haven't.
Okay, that's the part I wasn't clear about, and so obviously you're not clear either.
If they did it, who told them to do it? Because of our, do we have 7 or 8? I think
what
we have
should be
7.
changed?
There's only one high school in the district that didn't practice this.
Do me a favor. I know we only have 4 minutes, but do me a favor and tell me, in your opinion, I know you're not running for office right now.
No, I'm not.
What is the thing that could be changed to fix this?
The largest we have on the shelf, ready to go, the largest parent empowerment program probably ever implemented in the state of Florida.
And the parent, if I was a parent, the parent and my son had decided to drop out, that program would do what with me?
It would catch your son before he was ready to drop out. Another thing that we need to fix.
Well, good. Let's push that. I like that idea.
We'd catch him before he got to that point. We're walking around stomping out fires in this district. We don't need everything to be a crisis here. Another issue, we are not teaching the kids to read at the time that we need to teach them to read. Our reading scores over the last 4 years have declined. Our district academically over the last 4 years, per the Department of Education's own statistics, we have dropped from a ranking in the state of 44th
Why?
to 57th.
Why?
Because of the things I'm sharing with you. It's all a scheme to look good without being good.
Connect the dots. How does falsifying graduation records affect the teaching of reading to a third grader?
No, that's why we get so desperate in the end that we falsify records to help our graduation rate, because we didn't teach them to read early on.
All right.
The root of the problem is our elementary first and second grade reading curriculum. The reading curriculum over the last 4 years has dramatically harmed our students. We need to go back to what Mr. Yancey was doing 4 years ago. That'll help a lot.
Okay, so fixing it
we need a change in leadership.
Means what? Fixing it means having a more accurate report so that we see for sure that we have these dropouts? Or does fixing it mean stopping the dropouts?
No, those dropouts we can't do anything about.
Yes, you can. You have a parent empowerment program in mind.
No, we don't have it.
Well, if you did. If that was in place, would we have fewer dropouts?
We need a change of leadership to change the culture of the brotherhood of the system.
What is that going to do?
To teach the kids, we need a reading curriculum change. Like Citrus County down the road, they're ranked like 19th. Why don't we do what Citrus County is doing to teach their first and second graders to read? Because their kids are proficient.
I don't know. You're on the school board. That's what we ask you.
I don't hire people, though.
So who needs to be hired that would do a better job? Teachers or?
We need a change at the superintendent level is my position.
And he would do or she would do what? What would that
the person that's running for school superintendent, Dr. Heidi Meir, she has her doctorate in early childhood education, and that's where I'm going. I mean, we've got to have a change at the top, because until we change the top, the culture will never change. We've got to get these first and second graders reading. But what do we need to do to
change it is probably the question I need to ask you to end it with. What do we need to do to change it? In my opinion, we as voters...
We need people from the outside coming in
We want voters to say, this is what's best for the children. Period.
You
guys can figure out what to do with the
We
restaurant.
need, instead of hiring.
Nancy, we got to go.
Okay.
Thank you. I love
right.
you. Jim, thank you for bringing in
No
Nancy.
problem.
You're awesome. Thank you. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Dwindling hope in the search for survivors in central Italy. This man recalling the moments after the quake struck, speaking through a translator.
It was a mixture of terror, screams, people